War is in the air, and the Holy Spirit brought me back to a prophetic dream, a warning dream of the Russians coming to America. It was a dream one of my intercessors had before the Russian ships were found off shores of Florida. You remember that? Now I'm looking back at it today, and I want you to see it because I believe we could be closer to seeing this dream fulfilled than we were on the day it was first released. And we need to pray. This is Jennifer LeClaire. I'm the founder of the Awakening Prayer Hub's global movement. We are in almost every nation of the world. I'd love to raise you up, to equip you. Launch a hub today at awakeningprayerhubs.com. And if you're in South Florida, come visit with me at Awakening House of Prayer. I'd love to meet you in person. Now, before I show you the original video, I need to set the table for you, just quickly. Experts say the risk of accidental escalation of war with Russia, like a miscalculation, a close encounter that goes wrong, I don't know, a ship that gets shot at or a plane that goes down, that risk of accidental escalation, analysts say, is higher now than at any point since the Cold War. And when you add Iran into the mix, the war there in the Middle East, you get Washington distracted, oil prices spiking, and Russia quietly watching from the sidelines. Russia is not Iran's military protector. Analysts are clear on that. But experts say Russia is providing Iran with diplomatic cover. Now, the analysts can only know so much. The Spirit of God knows everything, and he shows his watchmen things that no think tank can ever calculate. And that's why this dream I'm about to share is so critical right now. So as you watch this, I want you to notice something. The conditions that would make a dream like this more plausible are not moving away from us. They are moving toward us. Not in a straight line, not in a set timeline, but the trajectory is what it is. So I'm bringing this dream back to you because I want the intercessors to keep praying. It is critical. So watch what my intercessor saw. Ask the Holy Spirit to speak to you as you watch, and then we're going to come back at the end with some fresh prayer points, a prayer assignment, and a charge to keep standing on the wall. So let's listen in. I want to share with you a prophetic dream, and I want to submit it to you for prayer, for you to consider strongly. This hints at a 21st century remake of the Cuban Missile Crisis from 1962, but kind of like a modern twist. This is how I see it. And you may have heard that Russian warships have officially entered into Cuban waters, about 100 miles south of us or so. And this is a prophetic dream that Vanessa Angelini, a prophet here in our church, Awakening House of Prayer, received about 2 weeks ago. And we've been, she came to me with it, we've been pondering it, we've been praying about it. But when the news of the Russian warships entering into Cuban waters surfaced, we knew that we needed to get this dream out there. This is a summary of the dream, and I'm submitting it for your consideration and to stir you to pray. Here's the dream. I was standing outside a big arena with a group of people that I know. There were big crowds and long lines to purchase tickets at various ticket counters. Suddenly, I noticed a group of men to my left who were rude and rowdy. They were moving closer and closer to me, cutting ahead of people in the line. They clearly wanted to get into the arena first. These men were tall, some of them over 7 feet tall, and extremely muscular. They were like giants and very loud, like when Goliath was shouting at the Israelites in the valley. These giants behaved in a violent manner and spoke with a Russian accent. She said, "I grew up around Russians, so I know the accent well." One of the giants bumped into me. I looked at him with a "what are you doing" expression on my face. He started making threats. The next thing I knew, he picked me up and was about to throw me to the ground when the scene changed. In the next scene, I was running toward a familiar house to warn everybody what was about to happen. There was a woman there, and I warned, "The giants are coming. Where's Sam?" When I received no response, I repeated the question several times. "The giants are coming. Where's Sam? The giants are coming. Where's Sam? The giants are coming. Where's Sam?" Finally, she pointed to a room down the hall. I tried to find the room, but I could not find Sam anywhere. I returned and again asked the woman, "Where is Sam?" I walked down the hallway again and saw a room with the door halfway open. When I looked inside, I saw a man in his late 60s sitting on a chair watching a black and white TV from the 1960s era. I also saw a man laying on the bed with his back toward me, and I saw a 4-year-old child sitting on the edge of the bed. I walked into the room and I said, "Where's Sam? The giants are coming. We need to get the guns." The man sitting in the chair got up to get the guns and said, "No, we need Sam." I said, "No, we need Sam." And it turns out Sam was the one lying in the bed, sound asleep. I said, "Why is he sleeping? Wake him up." Finally, Sam woke up and went to get the guns. Sam woke up just in time to rally a defense. She said, "When I woke up from the dream, I was startled by all this, and the Lord caused me to focus on Sam. And I wondered, why is his name Sam? Sam is my uncle's name in the natural. In this dream, I was trying to wake up my Uncle Sam, who was asleep. Also note, my Uncle Sam served in Vietnam." Now that is the end of the dream, and I'm going to offer a partial interpretation. Uncle Sam is a nickname given to the United States. In 1813, he's usually depicted, I'm sure you've seen Uncle Sam depicted as a man with a white beard, the stars and stripes, the big top hat, the blue jacket. And they would have a picture of him back in World War I, and he'd be pointing and he'd say, "I want you," for the U.S. Army. It was a recruiting tool in World War I. So again, in the dream, Uncle Sam is representing America. And America was asleep. Uncle Sam was asleep. The giants were coming, and Uncle Sam was asleep. People were gathering at stadium events, enjoying their lives, while Russian giants were plotting and planning. America was sleeping. So then I began to look at this situation with the giants, and I began to study the giants, and I thought, what is this? And I began to study Russia and giants, and I couldn't believe what I found. This is uncanny. History tells Frederick William I of Prussia in the 1600s and 1700s, he was obsessed with everything big and tall. Now, Prussia is the territory that today would be parts of Russia, parts of Germany, parts of Poland. And he was obsessed. So one of his famous quirks was creating his own personal regiment of extremely tall men known to history as the Potsdam Giants. The Giants. One of the tallest giants was 7'1". So Prussia, Russia, Germany, the giants are coming. According to Newsweek, footage released by the Russian Defense Ministry showed the frigate Admiral Gorshchev and nuclear-powered submarine Kazan sailing into Havana Bay about 100 miles south of Florida. This happened this past week as of the time of this recording. They were not carrying nuclear weapons, apparently, but were armed with Zircon hypersonic missiles and Caliber cruise missiles. That's well enough to hit South Florida. Well enough. So I started to ask myself, could this be, given the old TV and the man watching something on TV, it was a black and white TV, could this be the first fruits or the first taste or, Russia clearly trying to send a signal here. Clearly Russia trying to send a signal. But could this be like a modern twist of the Cuban Missile Crisis, trying to bring to our remembrance this very potentially deadly situation from the 60s? Moscow has defended its 4-ship fleet presence as part of routine military drills conducted with allies. But many years ago, the Lord told me, don't trust the bear. You're going to tell me, come on, it doesn't take a prophet to see that Russia here is sending a message, and they could at any time. This is not to breed fear, but we also can't be ignorant. We need to have an urgency, but we never operate in fear. Uncle Sam woke up in the dream. Uncle Sam woke up. Uncle Sam went and got the guns. Uncle Sam went and rallied to defense. So this is not a fear-based dream, but this is not something to ignore either, because when God shows us warnings, he does so that we might pray. I looked for a man to stand in the gap. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said about this event, he said, I'm not the commander-in-chief, but if my responsibilities were different, that would not be something that we would allow to be happening. In other words, he's saying, if I were president, He said, I think it's really concerning that under this administration, they put out a posture of weakness that has invited more aggressive actions from our adversaries. So who was the child sitting on the bed? After praying, I believe that that child represents the next generation of children in America. Another thing, again, that stands out is the 1960s television that she saw in the dream, and the man in the chair was clearly watching something old. It was an old, there are black and white TVs still somewhere, but this is not the norm. So that was sending a signal. Remember, everything in a dream it means something. And really with dreams, a lot of it is parabolic and symbolic. And so could this signal something like a replay of sorts of the 1960s Cuban Missile Crisis? I'm not saying it's the same thing. I'm saying that it's Russia near our nation with missiles, with weaponry. And so the confrontation goes down in history. In 1960, it lasted for 13 days from October 16th to October 28th, 1962. And the confrontation goes down in history as the closest the Cold War came to escalating to a full-scale nuclear war. So could we be on the verge of World War III? I submit to you, we are on the verge of World War III, and we have been on the verge of World War III for some time now. This is not new. It's just another sign that we're getting closer. It's not a matter of when. It's not a matter of if World War III will break out, it's a matter of when World War III will break out. So we're praying that the enemy cannot change the times and the laws. Since Uncle Sam is not objecting to Russian warships off our coast, since Uncle Sam is not objecting to this, and we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but they're there. They're there. We must take authority in the Spirit. God gives dreams to warn us, and God always gives a prayer strategy if we press into it. And so when the news came out about the Russian warships, Cindy Jacobs said, in praying about this, she saw the news and she put out a bulletin. In praying about this, I received what should be an answer that is apparent to all. So she's praying about it, and the Lord said, the word I received was positioning. Positioning. Positioning for what, she wrote? A war. It's obvious. They're positioning for war. They are sending a signal. Literally on our own doorstep, so to speak, she said, the people of the United States, the Russian people, the Cubans, and the world do not want World War III. Many lost lives of innocent young people. Who was in the dream? A 4-year-old, a young person. Many lost lives of innocent people are among the terrible consequences that occur in war. This current situation could be a case of saber rattling, but we want that to subside. In other words, Russia might just be sending a signal, which is what I've been saying all along. But you can't just say, oh, they're just sending a signal, let's go to the beach. God gave a dream, a warning dream. But Uncle Sam woke up. So again, this is not fear. This is God showing us what he wants to see happen. He wants to see America wake up and rally and be prepared. We need to be prepared. Russia is positioning itself. So really what we need is a great awakening, right? We need a great awakening. And I'm calling all of our Awakening Prayer Hub's leaders to take a stand in prayer, all intercessors all over the world to take a stand in prayer, and all wartime intercessors in this hour to rise up. Let's get prepared. Russia is clearly sending a message, and this may not lead to World War III, but we need to wake up and we need to stay awake. And I know many of you out there have been praying about these things for a long, long time, and I applaud you for that. Now is not the time to let up. Now is the time to press in, and I'm calling more intercessors forth to rally around not just this cause, but other causes that are on the Lord's heart in this hour, because the enemy is trying to change the times and laws. It is very clear, but we have authority in this realm to push back the enemy, and this must not happen until the right time. World War III will come, but not now. I do not believe in my heart that the time is now. Otherwise, this dream would not have shown Uncle Sam waking up. Wow. Now that was really, really a chilling dream. And so now you can see why we need to pray. This dream hasn't come to pass yet. I hope it never comes to pass, but it depends on the intercessors standing on the wall, the gatekeepers guarding the gates, the prophetic intercessors continuing to discern, the prayer warriors slinging the sword. So I want to close by giving you some prayer posts, because this is not a time to watch and wonder. This is a time to watch and war. So we want to pray for restraint of Russian aggression. That's the first thing. It's just like a ticking time bomb in the world right now. Seriously, there's so much going on. Only God knows what's going to happen next. We are literally on the brink of World War III. The second thing is we need to pray against miscalculation. So pray against that spirit of error, that spirit of confusion, or just hasty decision making in military command rooms on all sides. Pray for clear heads and cooled tempers in moments of crisis, because more moments of crisis are going to arise. Proverbs 11:14 says, where there is no counsel, the people fall. Number 3, pray for open communication channels. The diplomatic ties between Washington and Moscow are dangerously thin right now. So intercede for back channel conversations, backroom negotiations, any avenue that keeps positive communication alive. God can open a door that no man can shut. Number 3, pray a canopy of protection over U.S. coastlines and waters. This is important. This is a direct application to the dream. Pray angelic intervention over the Atlantic, or angelic guarding over the Atlantic and Pacific. Pray that every enemy strategy aimed at approaching our shores is detected, disrupted, and dismantled in the spirit before it ever manifests in the natural. We have to understand that what we don't shut down in the spirit realm manifests in the natural realm. So we have to take the battle to the spirit. We're not fighting flesh and blood. We're fighting principalities and powers. Then we want to pray for American leadership to have the fear of the Lord, not political prayer. I'm talking about prophetic prayer. We need our leaders to not be driven by pride or panic or political pressure or any other thing than the spirit of the living God, the wisdom of the Almighty. So pray for that wisdom, pray for restraint, pray for divine counsel to rest upon decision makers in this hour. And pray for the church to wake up. The greatest danger, ultimately, from a spiritual perspective, is not Russia. The greatest danger is a sleeping church that has stopped watching on the wall. So pray for the watchmen to arise. Pray for the gatekeepers to get on their posts. Pray for intercessory prayer networks to be just very keen in the spirit, so we don't miss anything the Holy Spirit is trying to show us. Pray for the prophetic community to take its place on the wall and not come down. New breeds are rising. Nehemiah 4 verse 9 says they prayed and posted a guard. They did both. They didn't just pray and assume everything will be fine. They prayed and they stayed on the wall. So this is your charge. Listen, Don't walk away from this video and go back to business as usual. Post a guard. Stop and pray right now. Come back to these prayer points. Share this with your intercession network or with your intercessory prayer friends. Get it into the hands of other watchmen who need to be activated into these assignments right now. We are the restraining force on the earth. We are the ones who stand in the gap. We are the ones who say, not on our watch. So get on the wall, stay on the wall. Let's not come down until we see the breakthrough, not just with this threat, but with every threat and every opportunity. Because I believe that awakening is coming, the greatest awakening the world has ever seen. Now, this is your assignment. Walk it out and join us at Awakening Prayer Hubs. I'm raising up watchmen, gatekeepers, intercessors, burden bearers, revival-minded prayer warriors in the context of community. Go right now. Be part of the solution. Launch a hub today at awakeningprayerhubs.com. Have a breakthrough day. Prophetic intercessors are waking up all over the world. The burden is increasing. The warfare is intensifying. And the Holy Spirit is calling His watchmen to take their place on the wall. If God has been stirring you in the night, if you felt the weight of what's happening in your city, this is your confirmation. You're being summoned. This is the hour to stand in the gap with clarity, confidence, and covering. And you don't have to do it alone. Awakening Prayer Hubs has stationed intercessors in almost every nation of the earth. We equip and coach prophetic intercessors to pray with accuracy, discernment, and spiritual authority. If you've been waiting for a place to grow and connect with prophetic intercessors, this is it. Answer the call. Join a global family of prophetic intercessors committed to seeing God's will established in their cities and nations. Let's push back darkness together. Join us today at awakeningprayerhubs.com.